So hello, my name is Jeremy Martel. I am the Director of Communications with the Cape Breton Partnership. Before we get started today, I'd like to acknowledge that we're gathered virtually today in varying places, but ourselves in Unama'ki, part of Mi'kma'ki, the home and territory of Mi'kmaq people since time immemorial. We truly appreciate that Mi'kmaq and our communities have shared this land in their home with us. We truly appreciate every opportunity we get to participate and partner with our community partners, with the communities of Eskazoni, Membertou, Waigoma, Wagmatcook, and Bothledeg. We also truly appreciate the partnership that we enjoy with the counties of Richmond, Inverness, Victoria, the town of Port Hawkesbury, and the Cape Breton Regional Municipality. It's through these partnerships then, and those like it, with our strong business community, with our partners with the provincial and federal governments, that we're able to hold events and activities like this, and to bring topics like we're going to be discussing today to our attendees. Excellent. Just making sure that that people are able to get in. So if you're not familiar, the Cape Breton Partnership is Cape Breton Unama'ki's private sector-led economic development organization, and we participate in, lead, communicate, contact, connect, everything in a variety of topics. One of the initiatives that we lead is the Building Tomorrow campaign, which is really a campaign to highlight the 5 major projects underway here right now in Cape Breton Unama'ki. So that would be the healthcare redevelopment projects at the Cape Breton Regional, the Glace Bay Hospital, the New Waterford Community Hub, and the North Side Health Complex, as well as the new NSCC campus in downtown Sydney on the waterfront. And through that is also connecting businesses with the immense opportunities that exist, whether it's through the construction projects themselves or through, as today's subject includes, procurement. So today we're actually going to be hearing from Service Nova Scotia and Internal Services, as well as Procurement Assistance Canada. And I'm going to introduce our speakers very shortly. Before we do that, I'd like to do a quick technical briefing for those who aren't used to this program. And even if you are, it's always good to have a little bit of a refresh. So we're using the Zoom webinar platform. What that means is that we can't see or hear you. You can see or hear us. If you need to get up, if you need to use the bathroom, if you need to grab a drink, if you need to cough or stretch, it really doesn't matter. We won't see you. Feel free to move around. We just want you to be comfortable today as you take in today's session. So please feel that comfort from wherever you're joining us from. If you have any questions throughout today's session, we'll be holding them to the end of the session. You'll see at the bottom of the screen there's a Q&A tool. Please feel free to click that, and you can join in on the discussion by asking questions there. You can also use the chat function, and I see I've already received one. If you have any comments or you're experiencing any difficulties, just let us know in the chat if you're having trouble hearing someone or so on, and we'll try to get that resolved as soon as possible. I don't expect any technical issues today or power outages, but if there are, feel free to re-click your link and join us again as soon as you can, and we'll definitely get started in that way. So before I introduce today's presenters, I would like to launch a little poll that you're going to see on your screen now, just to get an idea of where some of the businesses that are joining us today might be at in their experience with the government, with selling to government, procurement, and what industry you might find yourselves in. So if you could participate in that, that'd be fantastic. I can see a couple coming in now. 7, 8, 9, fantastic. Once I see this number reaching a significant point, we'll definitely, I'll share where we're at. And I'm happy to see a mix, a good mix here of currently engaged and not quite yet engaged with the process, and a healthy mix of industries as well. Excellent. Still moving, still coming along. Thank you. Wonderful. Okay, I think, oh, good. Excellent. Okay, I think we have enough there that all end the poll, and we'll do a quick share so everyone sees where we're at. So as you can see here, we have about a third who are currently engaged in selling to the provincial government, just under a third who are currently engaged in selling to the federal government, and a bit of a mix in the industries between advertising and marketing, construction, electrical, plumbing, food and beverage, computer, education, health and safety, and a healthy number of other. Unfortunately, we don't know what the others are, but I'm sure we can take a guess at what that all includes. So with that, I'm very happy to introduce our first presenter this morning, who is Alexa Vodicka from Service Nova Scotia Internal Services. And Alexa is the project coordinator for procurement engagement. So I welcome Alexa up to the virtual podium. There we go. We have you, Alexa.
Good morning. Thank you, Jeremy, and welcome everyone. I'm going to be presenting to you on the provincial stage of what we do with procurement, and that poll that was just created helped. It gave me a sense of some of you are actively involved and others aren't. So I think that and hope that this presentation will give you meaningful information to begin understanding how the province procures and how you could become involved. So I've just shared my screen. Can somebody let me know if you cannot see this?
We can certainly see your presentation.
Super, thanks, Jeremy. Okay, so I'm going to be talking about Nova Scotia procurement. That's the provincial lens, and give you an overview to help you understand what it's about. Specifically, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what procurement is, then focus on how the government of Nova Scotia procures, and then how you can compete. So let's take a look at what Nova Scotia procurement is. Procurement is a division of Department of Internal Services and Service Nova Scotia. We are a government entity. Therefore, we are bound by specific acts, trade agreements, and business ethics, which are used to formulate the Nova Scotia Sustainable Procurement Policy. On this website is where you can find many guides, our policy, the acts and trade agreements, and much more information that is pertinent to what you're interested in learning about with procuring and supplying. So procurement offers information and guidance to all the government departments and boards, agencies, commissions, seeking unique, creative, sustainable procurement solutions for complex business needs. We want to make sure that we're maintaining an open and fair process that maximizes competition, while also supporting environment, economy, and society to obtain the best value for the province. Procurement's most prominent role is to facilitate the high-value purchasing process for our client departments. Now, an example of high-value purchases would be on the provincial department lens. It would be Nova Scotia Public Works as a client department. So when Public Works has a high-value construction requirement, they must work with procurement, who will facilitate the purchasing process. Then, from a municipal lens, Cape Breton Housing Authority is a municipal entity, so they facilitate the purchasing process internally, not with Nova Scotia procurement specialists or the department. Now let's look at how the government procures, and that's going to be through standing offers, how we go to tender, focusing on the high value, and then I'm going to give you a glimpse into what we do when it's under threshold value from two different angles. As I go through these slides, I'm going to give you a little bit of a tour of the procurement website, because you're going to want to tap into this after the session and in the months coming up. So this page is a glimpse of what the home page of the Tender Nova Scotia Procurement website looks like. So let's start off with standing offers, known as SOs or RSOs. So a standing offer is a continuous offer from a pre-approved supplier to supply either goods and or services that are requested through the use of a call-up process during a particular period of time at a predetermined price or discount, generally within a predefined dollar limit. We have to put these standing offers out there. It's tendered. And so you would see these on our procurement page. Now, forgive me, I need to, there, okay. Images of people are showing up on my screen, just had to move that. So when we put a new standing offer out to the public, and when that contract is required, the RSO is going to be posted on this Nova Scotia Tender Notices page. It's just like a public tender. So this is an example of Nova Scotia Health Authority is looking for hemodialysis monitors, and that's an active one that is open until March 16th of this year. We also have what are called ongoing onboarding standing offers. Many of our standing offers have specific dates, a start and end date, but there are also these ongoing onboarding. So these are available for suppliers to apply at any time. Select the current standing offers from the menu on the right-hand side here, and it would be taking you to that list of those, which would be this page. So here's a little glimpse at some of them, like temporary services. The contract itself is from December 1st of 2019 to November 30th of 23, but you as a supplier can onboard at any time of this period. You would click on that to see the specifications of that and be taken through the process. Here is a complete list of the ongoing onboarding standing offers. So this is on our public website. You can see this, and some of the companies that are here today offer these services. So you will be interested in learning more about these and seeing the details. And I'm going to show you in the further slides how you can get the details on those at a high level. Of those ongoing onboarding, several of the standing offer contracts are established and they are maintained through a Managed Service Provider Program, the MSP. So the province's MSP program was a contract that was established through a high value tendering process. It was awarded to the service provider FlexTrack. These standing offers are managed by FlexTrack and are listed within the current standing offers page that you just saw. Ongoing onboarding is available through all of these standing offers that are managed by FlexTrack, such as what we had taken a glimpse at. If you were to click on one of these, this is the first starting off page that you would see of the tender details. And I'm going to go into this a bit further on different kinds of standing offers and tenders. One of the categories of these ongoing onboarding are the communication ones, and here is just a glimpse of 4 out of 6 of them. You'll see the complete list on that page. Just want to point out that for any of you who have been involved with those standing offers, that used to be managed by Communications Nova Scotia Department, but is now managed by FlexTrack. So now let's look at high value opportunities. When we have a value of purchasing requirements that we have to meet, and those apply to goods when they are over $10,000, services when they're over $50,000, and construction over $100,000. These are considered high value purchases, which have requirements, and we have to be going out to public tender for these. As an example, looking at services, Municipal Affairs and Housing wants to assess the needs of provincial housing. So this department has determined specifications. Procurement is responsible for ensuring that those specifications were in the proper document templates, that spending approvals are in place before posting and facilitating a public tender. This one is open and it closes in March of 22. High value goods, services, and construction opportunities are posted on the public tenders website. Tenders are available for public to view and to bid on. Now let's look at what Nova Scotia Procurement's responsibilities are. We post all of the high value opportunities on our public website, and this is going to include different types of postings. It would be either through Arriba Discovery, BidX, or PDF, and I'll show you that a bit farther on. We have to ensure that all tender documents explicitly and accurately include all submission requirements, the instructions, contact information, the bid submission deadline, contractual stipulations, evaluation process, the final contract, and so on. We evaluate all the bid submissions exactly as they are outlined within the tender documents. We then notify the awarded supplier and obtain a signed contract from the awarded supplier. To be considered for an award for a public tender opportunity, suppliers must participate fully in the tendering process. So suppliers are responsible for finding the public tender opportunity, explicitly following the instructions as they are outlined in that tender, and including but not limited to asking questions about the opportunity before the time remaining expires, finding and following all addenda that may be posted for that opportunity, and submitting compliant bid responses before the time remaining expires. And I'll underscore that last part, that especially if you haven't used the virtual format, you'll want to make sure that you submit your bid a couple of days before the closing deadline in case you experience any tech challenges with not being familiar with that platform. And there's lots of training information that's available through our website on that. So the province facilitates the tendering process for departments, and that is, there are 19 of them. We also do it for agencies, boards, and commissions such as NSLC, water commissions, and so on. There are over 100 of those. And health authorities such as 40 hospitals, and there are 2 health authorities. Public sector entities in Nova Scotia includes all of the municipal, academic institutions, and school centres. So as a quick outline, there are over 51 municipalities, over 11 academic, there are 51. There are 11 academic institutions, and regional centres for education, there are 8. In Cape Breton, there are 38 schools. So these must post their high-value tenders on that public website. However, they must facilitate their own tendering process. A side note, and Paul's going to talk about this, but the federal government offices in Nova Scotia do not post their opportunities on the Nova Scotia Procurement website. There is a centralized location for the municipal and provincial tender postings. All of the public sector entities in Nova Scotia must post their high-value tender opportunities on this URL. Another example, Cape Breton Municipality is a public sector entity. They must post their high-value opportunities on this website. When they do, you would find that and then be taken to their website for further details. But as a starting point, it is on the procurement's web portal, the tender portal. You can find these opportunities on our procurement public website. You would do this by, on the right-hand side, select the menu item, Current Tenders. When you do that, you're going to be taken to this page. You can do random search or specific. We have 5 different boxes there. So you can select a specific idea if you know of it, or you want to enter a keyword relevant to what your company offers to see what's out there. You can also look at current tenders, past tenders, closed, awarded, and so on. Or you could focus on a specific department or agency. Or you could also select, you want to see all the tenders that are good related, or service related, or construction, and so on. Here's an example of, I searched for any of the tenders that are municipal or provincial based in the Cape Breton region, and I had various ones come up that are active now and still open. Most recent tender postings are listed first. Notice of other public sector entity opportunities are also listed here. Now I want to talk about, there are 3 different tender formats, and that's talking about that we have in provincial and municipal. They're available through Arriba Discovery for the provincial. There are also BidX, or you might see them in PDF files. You'll start to notice similarities with that. For example, the province, their Arriba Discovery ones start with the DOC. Other ones are going to be a PDF format, as I've highlighted here in the red box. All the municipalities and schools do use PDF, and the provincial government sometimes uses PDF, but we have turned that into the E-Procurement online format, and I'll talk to you about that in a few more slides. So you'll see when you click on whether it be a municipal or provincial, you'll know that it's going to be that PDF format, because when you click on it, you're going to see PDF link. Here's an example of a BidX format. So that's going to be talking about transportation and infrastructure renewal or public works. you're going to be taken to a different platform known as Bid Express. This is what it would look like. We use this for construction and infrastructure tenders only. Here's an example of the Arriba Discovery format. You're going to know this, as I had mentioned, because you'll see that doc followed by 9 numbers afterwards. Okay, so let's talk about the Arriba Discovery, because the bulk of the provinces or the provincial level ones are now done through this. And so I wanted to show you how this works. So the E-Procurement platform for the Province of Nova Scotia tender opportunities. It's going to include also other ones from Nova Scotia agencies and departments and the health authorities. Suppliers must view any of these procurement opportunities, specifically the Arriba Discovery ones, and also to be able to participate and submit your responses to these. So let's go back and show you how you would be able to look at Arriba Discovery format style. So when you go through the tender listing, you're going to see one. Click on that doc. You're going to be taken to this page, which is a high-level snapshot of that tender's details. It gives you who's posting it, how long, and so on. But most of all, you're going to, when you...
Apologies, Alexa. We seem to be losing you again.
Oh, God. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can, yeah. I heard, oh gosh, and then nothing for a little bit, and then can you hear me? So it's a little inconsistent.
Computer. Yeah, I'm so sorry. Okay.
No problem.
You can still see my presentation though?
We can indeed, yeah.
Okay, so on this page, the landing page of Arriba Discovery, it's again similar information that you saw on procurement site, where it's just giving you the high level, and it gives you 2 key things that you want to do. You will want to click on the respond to posting if you are interested in this tender. When you do that, you're going to be prompted to, sorry, I think it's locked me now. Oh, okay. It's going to be prompting you to log in. So this is what will pop up. Side note here, in order to gain access, you're going to have to create an account. Easy peasy. Once you get that account information, then you're going to be able to log in and see it. So we'll continue forward as if you have that login. So I've entered my email and my password, and I'm now in Arriba Discovery. And so here's what it looks like. You're going to see that it's a high-level information, basically giving you 2 key elements, the checklist side and the event contents. Now, please note that there are Nova Scotia Procurement navigating the system information sessions and user guides are available for you. So we offer that in PDF format as well as video, because this is a new format that you have to learn how to use, and we want to make it as easy as possible. So on Procurement's website, we have various resources to guide you through how to use this. Now let's look at what do we do when we're talking about low value purchases. So when it's under the high value threshold, there are 2 brackets I'm going to talk about. When we have something that we need, the province needs, that is under $2,500 before tax, the first step is that client departments must use an existing standing offer. If that standing offer isn't there for what they're looking for, then they have to approach a business directly for the requirements and make the purchase using a purchase order or a procurement card. This is done at the department level. These purchases do not go through procurement nor a public website, nor Arriba. The next spending bracket, we'll call it, is when it's between $2,500 and under $10,000. Again, departments must look to see if there is a standing offer in place first. And if there isn't, similar to the previous slide, they are going to go to a supplier, but now it's mandatory that they have to obtain 3 quotes. So they have to approach suppliers, provide them the specifications for the good or service that they need, and they're going to be asking for a response. So they're going to be asking for a price, a timeline, and any other pertinent information that relates to the item that they're looking for to meet their needs. This is done at the department level. These purchases do not go through procurement. Next, spending bracket, when it's a service that is between 10,000 and services between 10 and 50,000, or construction between 10,000 and under 100,000. Again, they must see if it's available through a standing offer, and if it's not, they're going to be going out to a couple different options. They can choose to use an invitational competition, which is a more robust version of the 3-quote process. The departments used a simplified solicitation document template. So this is what's going to happen when departments are looking at services that are of value between 10,000 and under 50,000, or construction between 10,000 and under 100,000. So again, the first step is that they're going to look and see if this is available through a standing offer. If it's not, then they would go to invitational competition, which is a more robust 3-quote process. The departments use a simplified solicitation document template. They would then go to 3 or more known suppliers that can supply a bid response, and it's usually done by email. The template asks for a price, timeline, and anything else that may be important to meet the purchasing requirement. Suppliers have a minimum of 10 calendar days, allowing time to prepare their bids. This process is facilitated through procurement, and the Arriba discovery or the Arriba system is used. Low value purchases and accountability. So the sustainable policy must be followed. This policy has been written to align with the acts, trade agreements, and business ethics that all public sector entities in Canada must legally abide by. Client departments must follow and keep record of all applicable procurement processes used. For example, they must obtain specific approvals, prove they obtained at least 3 quotes, and keep records. There's a separation of duties in that there are 3 different divisions from finance who have different levels of access to the province's financial system, different levels of access for creating payment documents, processing and releasing payments, and so on. These functions will not be completed without proof from the client departments of the various procurement processes that are mentioned. All public sector purchases are subject to audits from both the Service Nova Scotia Internal Services auditors and the Nova Scotia Auditor General. We also deal with FOIPOP inquiries, and there's been also legal action. Now let's look at how you can compete, and I'm going to touch on these subjects. So back to the homepage of procurement, on that right-hand menu, you can see that there is the Selling to Government, which offers you information on e-bidding and e-bonding and the different learning resources. So when you click on that page, here's what you would be taken to. If you scroll down to the guides section, you're going to see several guides in PDF format and also videos about navigating in Arriba, which I had mentioned previously. I think you'll really want to note this page. It's very helpful, and you have to become familiar with how to use Arriba, and this is where you can go to learn how to do it. Here's a little glimpse at the different guides that are available. For resources which provide tips to suppliers on how to market to the government, you'd want to go to that Selling to Government menu on the top right of our homepage. We do offer a static video that is marketing your business to the public sector. We also have a PDF version of that. The information is available on how you can provide business to the public sector entities. Also, you may want to note that there is support that's available, and you can submit a question through the ticketing system when you click on Submit a Ticket link just to the right there. and that's pertaining to the Arriba support on accessing and tenders. I also want to mention supplier training and events. So you can, you can see different training sessions that we are offering under the supplier training and events menu link. Another key thing I want to mention is what's called Tender Opportunity Notification System, known as TONS. You'll want to register for this because what it does is TONS is a free service that is available for suppliers. You register for this and you will receive e-notification of public sector procurement opportunities matching the goods and services that are related to what your business offers. When you register, that's what you would do. Here's what the page would look like when you click on that link. So I've eaten up a bit more time than I anticipated. So there's lots of information to cover. And I think that right now, action takeaways for you is to register for TONS so that your business receives relevant tender opportunities. You'll also want to register for Arriba Discovery and become familiar on how to use that system. Also, review and understand the different tenders that are out there when you click that link, and understand how you can bid through the videos that and PDF files that I had provided in that previous slide. So we're going to come to the questions at the end of this pulse session as well. I encourage you to learn and become comfortable bidding, and there's the contact information for us, and further we can provide follow-up to this presentation. So thank you, everyone. I'm sorry for the glitches that I had, and I'll now hand this back to Jeremy.
Thank you very much, Alexa, and no worries at all. And apologies to everyone. Obviously, these things happen in a virtual setting, so we're just making do as we go. We will be sharing both Alexa and Paul's contact info if you'd like to reach out to them following the session as well. So as we get to the end, and say if some of the questions aren't able to be answered, or if you thought of something later, you'll definitely be able to reach out. So next, we're going to hear from Paul Gérin, the Outreach Officer with Procurement Assistance Canada, to hear on the federal side of procurement. And Paul, I invite you up to our virtual podium.
Thank you, Jeremy, and good afternoon, or good morning, everyone. I'm just going to quickly share my screen, and hopefully you're seeing Procurement Assistant Canada.
I do indeed.
Okay, and I will stop my video. That way it makes it a little bit easier for people as well. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Paul Gérin, and I'm with Procurement Assistance Canada, and I am the outreach officer, or one of several outreach officers here in the Atlantic region. Our session today will provide a quick overview of selling your product or service to the Government of Canada and the various resources that are available. So who is Procurement Assistance Canada? So we have recently gone through a rebranding. We used to be the Office of Small Medium Enterprises within Public Works and Government Services Canada. Public Works and Government Services Canada has also rebranded to Procurement Services or Public Service Procurement Canada. So we've done a little bit of rebranding. Our main role, though, is to support small and diverse businesses through the federal procurement system. So we're here to help you engage, assist, and inform you on how to sell goods and services to the Government of Canada, as well as to reduce barriers to ensure that there's fairness and openness in the process. So if you are having any difficulties navigating the procurement platforms, we're there to assist as well. People ask, how much does the government buy? Well, the Government of Canada is one of the largest buyers of goods and services in Canada. The government spends approximately $23 billion annually on various goods and services, as well as construction projects, and that's just a snapshot from the last few years. Awards over $500,000 and processes close to over $2 million or 2 million credit card transactions each year. So similar to the provincial government, we do have various thresholds, and depending on those thresholds will also depend on whether or not it's a open request for tender or if it's a direct buy from government, from a government department. So what does the government buy? So we buy the usual commodities. We buy technology, military equipment, property, professional services, construction, but we also offer a lot of other aspects, or purchase a lot of other product. We purchase catering, snow and landscaping, dog grooming, clothing, shower curtains, training, exercise equipment. We buy a lot of various services because it's not just the Government of Canada buying, but various government departments or agencies. So you have to think of the Government of Canada as not a single client. We are a large, complex organization, and Public Services and Procurement Canada facilitates on behalf of over 100 government departments and agencies to buy their products and services, but those departments and agencies also purchase directly. So when we think of Cape Breton, there's quite a few organizations in the Cape Breton region. So there's our office, PSPC does have a Cape Breton operational office, the Atlantic Canada Opportunities Agency, Parks Canada, the Coast Guard, Service Canada, the various locations for the Canada Post offices, your RCMP detachments, Immigration, Veterans Affairs, Correction Services, Transport, DFO, so Department of Fisheries and Oceans, Canada Border Services Agency, Marine Atlantic, the BDC, which is the federal government's financial institute, as well as the Office of Immigration. So when we think of government departments in Cape Breton, you can see that there's more than just one department that may be looking for your product or service. So just prior to the session today, yesterday I did look up some various proposals, and Jeremy will be receiving a copy of the deck. So if people are interested in some of the proposals that are identified here, they will be, the hyperlinks will be part of the deck. So we have a request for services for digital media. That's actually closing in a few days. Cemetery maintenance. So it is across Nova Scotia, but they do identify the various cemeteries in various counties up in the Cape Breton area that do require service. There's also career transition service. So these are just a few of the close to requests for procurement that are closing within the next few weeks. We also have a request for leasing of space. So we have what we call an expression of interest. So the federal government is actually looking for office space to lease in the town of Port Hawkesbury. So if you're a business owner or have property that you feel might be of interest to the federal government, then you'd want to look at the lease opportunity that the federal government is looking for. We also have a refit in terms of one of the vessels. So the CCGS George Perks has a request for some shipping refurbishing. We're also looking for some inflatable boats. We're also looking for some boilers. And we're also looking for various cleaning services, so cleaning and disinfection services for various locations. So these are just a few examples of some procurement requests in the Cape Breton area, or some that are both Cape Breton as well as mainland Nova Scotia. So similar to the provincial government, the federal government does require any any purchase over 25,000 for goods or any purchase over 40,000 for services to actually be submitted on our buy and sell website. Items under 25,000 and 40,000, we then suggest and encourage suppliers to be registered as a supplier on our website to identify their business and the products that they sell. That way, if departments are looking for local suppliers, then they do have a quick list that they're able to make reference to. And here's just another example of some other procurement in the Cape Breton area as well. So we are looking at doing some work with some structural engineers, electrical upgrades, as well as these are ones that have recently just closed, as well as there was some structural repair for the Alexander Graham Bell property. We also have an open procurement and a lot of resources being done through our PSPC office in Cape Breton in terms of water sampling for the mine water management program. So these are things or opportunities that entrepreneurs would want to investigate if applicable. So as noted, anything over 25,000 and anything over 40,000, we go through a solicitation bid and we look for quotes from potential suppliers. Similar to the province, we use a variety of methods, but our tender notices indicate how the government intends to buy the good or the service. So it is a formal process. We will identify what is the requirement, when and where the goods or services need to be delivered, how they identify the actual winner of the bid. So it's not always low dollar, but it is a matter of identifying all of the requirements in the supporting document. So anyone is capable of delivering on the requirements and they are willing to take the time to prepare a bid has a fair shot of winning a contract. When we think of low dollar value, so again, contracts below 25,000 for goods and 40,000 for services, these are used similar to the province, that where we will actually go out and request 3 quotes rather than a 35-page or larger document, and we will identify potential suppliers via our supplier list. We'll also use industry associations, and we will even use Google if the information isn't available through our databases. For purchases under 10,000, the process again is very less formal, and departments will reach out directly to suppliers in their region and discuss the requirement over the phone or via email with or request for information, and we'll do either a purchase order or we'll actually purchase the item using a credit card with a direct purchase for items that fall below the threshold. You're also able to market yourself to the government. So we do encourage entrepreneurs, once they have started to look through the procurement process, to identify historically departments or agencies that purchase their goods or services and actually reach out to those departments and agencies to see if there's an opportunity or when an opportunity may be coming up. So currently, the federal government is using the buyandsell.gc.ca website. So this is a quick snapshot of the website. Here, you're able to identify current tenders, tenders that have been amended or inputted today. You're able to look at various goods or services as well as construction. You'll be able to identify who your competitors are. You're able to search for goods and services that you sell. And you're also able to identify government contacts within that. The benefits of using buyandsell.gc.ca, it is a free access, so there is no fee for this. You're able to use plain language in terms of searching for product. So you're able to use consulting, advertising, or you're able to use what we call the Goods and Services Identification Number, the GSIN. So every product and service has an applicable code, or you're able to use the United Nations Standard Products and Services Code, the UNSPSC defined opportunities. Once you've identified either the words or the various codes, you're then able to set up notification. You're also able to view historically previous contract notices, which gives you an idea of the volume or the dollar value of a past purchase or service in your area. We encourage, again, for you to build your network, connect with departments and agencies to understand the appropriate programs and supports that are available, to promote your business and share the information regarding your capabilities and area of delivery. We also encourage you to ensure that your own social media actually identifies and contains that information. That way, if we are looking and doing research on potential suppliers, that we're able to identify some of that information from your site. So when we think of purchasing of low dollar value, that is when you're also then wanting to reach out to the government departments and agencies to see if they purchase that your product or service at a low dollar value. Where the information is not publicly available on our website through procurement, then you're wanting to have that conversation where the value of the product or service you're offering is below $25,000 for a good or $40,000 for services. Anything above that, then that information is visually available historically, where the requirement would be for the department or agency to have the information through a tender. In terms of also identifying suppliers within our government departments and agencies, we do have a public directory called the Government Employee Directory Services, GEDS. It does have its limitations. So GEDS does not include employees of the Department of National Defense, RCMP, the Canadian Securities Intelligence Service for security reasons. So it does limit that ability, but we do have staff within our Public Service and Procurement Canada offices that do have contacts within those departments and agencies that may not be listed on GEDS. There we're then able to provide you with more direct contact or information to a resource within your community or within the region. And these contacts can be identified, and you're able to search within our buy and sell website under the contact section. Similar to the province, the federal government is moving to a new procurement online program. So currently we are on buyandsell.gc.ca. We are in the process of migrating over to a new website. So over the next year, we do encourage businesses to transition and update their information, both on our current system as well as the new system. So currently there is a bit of a lag in terms of what is available on the new system. So we encourage people to register as a supplier on our supplier registration platform. So the supplier registration information system provides your company the ability to put your company name and the supply capabilities. There you're able then to obtain what we call your procurement business number, which is something that is required in order for you to receive payment. So it is part of your business profile with our department in order for us to actually pay you. So once you do receive your procurement business number, it then also allows you to identify yourself into other very specific databases. So Select, Pro Services if you're offering professional services, as well as the Translation Bureau. Over the next few months, we are transitioning from the buy and sell website to a new website called Canada Buys. So we do encourage businesses to register, again, through the supplier registration information on our buy and sell website, but also to create their profile under Canada Buys. So within Canada Buys, there is now the E-Procurement tool of SAP Arriba or Arriba Discovery, depending on how you identify. So we do encourage businesses that are not selling to government, either federally or provincially, to register under SAP Arriba or Arriba Discovery, because as you noted with the province, a lot of their procurement is now being posted on the SAP Arriba. Canada Buys is the new government platform that will eventually host all of our procurement information. Here, this is the upper portion of the website. So here we're identifying Canada Buys. So Canada Buys will actually be the national platform for federal, as well as additional provincial platforms, as well as municipal. So as the as e-commerce for procurement evolves for the Canadian public, it is a requirement through one of our trade agreements that we actually have a lot more of our procurement online. So Canada Buys will eventually be hosting all federal, provincial, and municipal procurement in one location. And through SAP Ariba, you're able to see all of those tender requests. So currently, most of our data is either documents or articles in terms of getting started and updating your account or creating an account within SAP Ariba. So we do encourage you to register with SAP Ariba, but also at the same time to register through the supplier registry information. So in order to do Canada Buys, you should still be registered under SAP or under the supplier registration information. You will need your number from that registry in order to register and complete your registration within SAP Ariba. So CanadaBuys.Canada is our new suite. It will provide you with one-stop shopping for resources and online support. It is currently anticipated that by the end of June of this year, that a lot more processing of federal procurement will be identified on both sites. Here you're able to register. There are guides to assist you in terms of updating your account if you currently already have an Ariba Discovery account. It'll also re-identify how to promote your business to the public sector. If you're Indigenous, to also register with the Indigenous Business Directory. And you'll also see aspects of how the government is looking to include more diverse communities through diversity and inclusion through various procurement processes. You'll also have information as to how to pre-qualify and sell through standing offers or supply arrangements that are being both shared on the buy and sell website as well as the SAP Ariba. So again, SAP, it will be an e-based tool that will allow businesses to view and bid tenders online. As an example, later today, I'm doing a presentation for Newfoundland. Newfoundland currently has 9 procurements that are requests for tenders that are identified on SAP Ariba, but there are 99 active requests through the buy and sell. So eventually the 99 will be on both platforms, and then they will only be on SAP Ariba over the transitional period. So during the transition, we again encourage businesses to be on both platforms. So you do wish to be on SAP Arriba as well as the buy and sell website. Depending on the platform, it'll redirect you back to the appropriate documents. So if you are currently on SAP Arriba, it'll redirect you back to the buy and sell website. If you're on the buy and sell website and the procurement documents are on the other platform, then you will need an account to actually view the opportunities. During the transitioning, there will be a lot of confusion. So we do want to ensure clients are aware that there is that difference between the buy and sell website as well as the Canada Buys website. Eventually, all of the information from the buy and sell website will only be hosted on the Canada Buys website. So until that time, we do recommend people be on both. There, you'll be able to see tenders from both federal as well as provincial, and they do provide online support. So we do have an online support program through the Canada Buys in terms of any support that your company may need while registering. There is also a step-by-step guide in terms of how to link your current account, if you do have SAP Arriba, with the current platform. That way you're able to see. There are, again, some step-by-step tutorials, and you do need to register. So once you are registered, then you're able then to see Government of Canada request for tenders. Without that approval, you won't be able to actually see Government of Canada requests. As well, there's information on once you are registered with SAP Arriba and the new platform as to how to respond to tender opportunities through Arriba Discovery. So we do encourage you during this transition to actually set up your account. That way, if you do have any problems or questions, then the team through the buy and sell website will be able to assist. So to help you create your SAP account, remember to consult our checklist, read our step-by-step guide on how to register for these free accounts, and at the same time, how to link your existing account if you're already providing, or if you're already registered through the SAP Arriba. They do have a call help desk, so you're able to call, email, or chat with them. They are very open and active on procurement. So going forward, one of the things we recommend is getting started selling to the Government of Canada. So where the Government of Canada is one of the largest buyers, we do recommend reading the document where you may not have sold to the government, just to know some of the requirements that the government has. It could be that you're looking to provide services on site. So there are requirements currently for security clearance. Even though at this stage there are some provincial and some federal restrictions for COVID that are being, for COVID vaccine mandates that are being changed, you're wanting just to keep that in mind as well, depending if there are still some requirements by government departments for proof of vaccination or proof of medical non-vaccine for those who are non-vaccinated. Again, you're wanting to register as a supplier on the supplier registration information system, and you're wanting to review the information on how to prepare a bid on an opportunity. So where there are so many different opportunities from different suppliers, most of the requests are identical. So you're wanting to read the document and understand how to prepare a bid for an opportunity. Again, you're wanting to create your SAP Arriba account. And then you're wanting to reach out to our office here at the Procurement Assistance Canada to see how we can help you. We're able to schedule one-to-one calls, but at the same time, we're able to also provide information through presentations or through callback. So we do have a national call center where we're able to provide. So we indirectly provide seminars on a weekly basis on various topics. So we do have that on our event page. So you're able to actually attend seminars either hosted here through the Atlantic office or from our national procurement centers. So there are 6 offices across Canada. So seminars do take place throughout the day through various time frames. So a 9 o'clock presentation here in Atlantic would be at 9 o'clock, but a 9 o'clock presentation from our Vancouver office would be at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So it does allow you the opportunity to look at various opportunities throughout the day. And like it indicated, Jeremy will have our contact information and share that with you. So we do have a national office, we do have our Atlantic office, and then my personal contact information for anyone who does have any information. So a lot of the procurement processes in terms of supplying or reading of documents are identical both at a federal and a provincial level. It's just the various platforms or the breadth of or the scope of work that might change. But federal and provincial procurement in terms of processing or submitting of documents are fairly identical for both federal and provincial. It's just the platforms that you're having to access. And back to you, Jeremy.
So looking at the questions here, so one question I had, Paul, so this actually is from me, so maybe it's a cheat, but you had mentioned, and I know that it's ongoing, but what do you think will be the advantage, and this is a question for you as well, Alexa, what do you think is going to be the advantage for businesses, given that both provincial and federal will be using that same system, for especially for new businesses, let's say?
Well, as an example, for SAP Arriba, the federal government is moving onto it. So all government contracts for federal government department and agencies are there. The province is moving quite a bit on it and is already on it. The city of Ottawa is on it. The city of Toronto is on it. There are over 250 multinational corporations that are on SAP Arriba. So when businesses are looking to expand interprovincially or internationally, government is an opportunity for them to sell their product or service internationally as well, versus just to the end consumer. So by having SAP Arriba, it's not just the government that you're able to filter, you're able to filter a lot more. It'll be the platform that will allow businesses to really expand their breadth. But at the same time, they don't need to follow everyone. So if they just want government of Nova Scotia or the federal government in Nova Scotia, they're able just to follow government of Canada in Nova Scotia only.
Forgive me, I was answering a question just when this had come out. Can you repeat the question for me? I think Paul's captured what I would be saying, but just to make sure.
Absolutely. So the question is, what do you think the general advantage would be for businesses now that both provincial and federal will be using the same system for procurement?
The same as what Paul has just said. Thank you.
And I figured, absolutely. Okay, wonderful. Is there any kind of policy or preference to purchase from local vendors, and how is this weighted in tender bids? There's a second part of the question: how is this weighted in Health Pro tenders that include buyers outside of Nova Scotia? So I'm not sure if that's directed more provincially or federally, but I'll leave it open.
And maybe if I could ask Kimberly to hone in on this one.
Yep. Sorry, so it's Kimberly Murphy here, and I'm the Manager of Procurement Engagement with the Province of Nova Scotia. And the question about Health Pro, I do know that Health Pro does attempt to make sure that they bring in as many people as possible into the Health Pro fold. And I believe that their mission is to ensure that any suppliers who are approved to provide goods and services to the health system within Canada and through their supply chain, that they are able to supply not just to the hospitals and organizations in Nova Scotia, but they are also able to provide services and goods across Canada. And to do so, I think that they are encouraging partnerships and collaborations so that that can happen from a distribution point of view. But there are people within our office that work with Health Pro and manage the contracts. So if offline you want to connect with us, we can put you in touch with them and you can connect with them directly.
When we think from a federal level, depending on the scope of work that's being requested, then sometimes vendors will actually look for that partnership in the community because they may not have a regional presence in Atlantic or in Nova Scotia or in Cape Breton. But we do look for those local suppliers first because it does make more sense to purchase locally, especially as the government looks at more eco requirements under their procurement in terms of greenhouse gases or transportation. So it doesn't help us to ask for a supplier for a product for it to be delivered in Cape Breton if that supplier is in Vancouver. The transportation costs added to the product may outweigh the opportunity of having a local supplier in the Cape Breton area provide the service.
Thank you very much. I think this question is probably more geared towards Alexa and or Kimberly, but I'll shoot it out. So in terms of municipal procurement, and Alexa, I think you touched on this a little bit, but when those things kind of come up, I think those sort of come under the provincial lens of procurement in some fashion through Arriba and through the system. Can you touch on that a little bit more?
Sure. Am I muted?
Yeah, no, we hear you.
Thank you, sir. There's an icon over my mute. Yes, so how it works for any of the municipal ones, the tenders are operated through that municipality and the outline of that is provided on the portal, but it's just the high level information. From then on, when they click on that link, it's going to be going to that municipality's host page to be able to then delve into the details of that.
Fantastic. Okay, perfect. Paul, you mentioned a little bit on an annual spend statistic. Can you repeat that? It was very quick, but
yeah. So it's a very high value. So unfortunately, the end of 2020 and 2021, a lot of our spending habits did change a little bit. So back in prior to 2020, we probably purchased a lot of paper as we were kind of redirected to work out of our homes. Probably a little bit less paper and more technology was acquired, but we're over $12 billion, so it's a fairly large amount. Sometimes the value of an item may look high. So when we buy a warship, that's a high value. But when we buy repetitively cleaning supplies or small services that may be under 40,000, they make up the bulk of it. So when we think of federal procurement, yes, we do buy very large items, but they make up a very small percentage of our daily purchases.
And Alexa, I'm not sure if you have anything prepared on that, or if you have an idea, but is there an idea there around annual spending from provincial procurement perspective?
If I could maybe ask Kimberly to hone in on this one as well.
Sure. We have a number we usually say, which is about $1 billion of goods and services that gets procured within Nova Scotia. And I would say that that's probably higher now that we have Nova Scotia Health under our fold. So it's quite a large number for procuring goods and services in Nova Scotia and from the public sector. And a good number of that procurement spend does happen under threshold. So a lot of that is able to be purchased from local vendors. As Paul said, there are times when it is in the best interest of the province to purchase locally, just from either a transportation or delivery point of view. And when those goods and services are next to a construction site or next to a building that requires those types of things, it's better to buy close to home when we can.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, all. Okay, so another question here that came in, this one from Stephen, and Alexa had provided some guidance there, but maybe a chance to repeat, and also for Paul. When a government department quotes products, is there a restriction on quoting specific brands?
So in that case, we would be focusing on the specifications that are needed on the parameters and the details of the good or service, and not so much from the brand perspective. They have the departments have an idea of what they're looking for, but it wouldn't be so much brand based.
Yeah, and I can just add to that, and unless, of course, there is a product that's put in place and there are only certain pieces and parts that go with it that would make it function optimally, but generally we like to use performance-based specifications as opposed to prescriptive-based. There are times where we just have to use a brand, but for all intents and purposes, our departments are kind of guided towards using the performance-based specs.
The same would hold true with the federal. A lot of times it's an open procurement process. It would be if there was something in terms of, say, a follow-up to an original contract. So at that point, they may have to consider either a sole source or a limited source for the service, because of either intellectual property or that it is really only that one supplier that can actually provide the product, because it is their product that we originally have.
Sorry, I couldn't unmute myself fast enough. So this question had gone into Paul, and I think Paul answered, but yeah, a good question, I think. Thanks for the presentation. This individual is registered on the P2P site and Arriba, and finds from time to time there could be some confusion. There's offers available on both sites. Could you explain a little bit about how that works and how they work together? And I guess the other question, which isn't really asked here, but is probably implied, is there an opportunity where people could reach out later and maybe talk one-on-one to get more personal guidance?
So yeah, we're able to do one-on-ones and follow-up meetings with clients at any point. Because we're slowly transitioning over to SAP Ariba, there is that duplication. So using Newfoundland as an example, right now under SAP Ariba, there are only 9 standing offers or requests for proposals. On the buy and sell, there are 99. There are 9 of them that overlap, but there are 90 that are currently not on the secondary system. And that could just be based on the request and where the documents were originally identified as our staff slowly transition. Over the next year, well, not really the next year, over the next 6 to 8 weeks, you'll see more under SAP Ariba, but they will also be under buy and sell. So you'll actually see documents either hosted on one or the other with a redirect to the other platform. So that's why it's important for suppliers to be registered under the SAP Ariba before they go into the platforms. That way, if they're redirected, they're not then having to register, because at that point they're lagging and may not be able to answer the request if they're then looking for documentation to create their account.
And if I could add to that, sorry, go ahead.
And I was going to say, if it's something more general, we're able to assist. And if not, if it's very specific to the Canada Buys and the SAP Ariba, then the staff under the chat under the Canada Buys are able to assist.
That last portion of what Paul just mentioned is what I was going to share. We certainly welcome questions, and when it's just in a general sense on the tendering method, then they can reach out to us. But when it's specific to a provincial tender, it would be done through the Arriba Discovery online. There's a specific discussion board for each tender.
And it even holds true a little bit larger if people do have questions relating to a specific tender, especially at the federal level. Within the tender documents, either on buy and sell or SAP Arriba, it'll actually identify the procurement officer, either within our department or within the department that's actually putting out the request. So if it's specific to the tender, then there's contact information right within the document that people would want to reach out to as well.
Thank you very much. We have a question here, I believe is aimed primarily at the provincial procurement information, but I suppose a similar question could be there federally. So in the ministerial mandate letters to Minister Quirk and Greek in this case, there was reference to a Nova Scotia loyal program. Is there information on what the program could entail and how that would impact procurement policies?
I can answer that question. I think that is being worked on right now, and we're just trying to determine at what level that comes into provincial procurement. Is it meant, and I'm a little bit uncertain, so I'm probably not the best one to answer the question right now, but is it a loyal program that's meant to assist more with the retail and with the consumer purchases, or is it something that's going to be brought up to the provincial procurement level? So we're still working those things out, but we are looking to broaden our understanding of who is a business in Nova Scotia and what your goods and services are that you can provide. Right now on our website, we do have the opportunity for anybody who has innovative and sustainable construction products to actually register and let us know who you are so that we can build that piece of a directory. And then we will be looking at creating a more robust type of directory for local suppliers. And we will be doing that with an updated version of our tender opportunity notification service, where you can actually create a supplier profile and log in and select a new list of categories that more closely fits to the goods and services that are available. And I think it's probably something that Arriba Discovery uses as well. So we're looking at the same category. So once we have a good list and understanding of who in Nova Scotia is available and interested in doing business with the province, then we can help to build that loyal program that has been identified as being very important.
A little bit different for the federal government. So we wouldn't actually have a loyal program because due to various international trade agreements, then a lot of, especially the higher value procurement, you'll see international bidders on various aspects. It's those low dollar value that people have to remember, that we buy a lot of goods under 25,000 or under 40,000 that don't actually get posted on Arriba or through the buy and sell. And that's where that networking directly with those government departments and agencies in your community actually help you identify the opportunities that might be available. The only time that we would do something very quickly through a sole source would be if there's a requirement through a state of emergency. So if there's a requirement because a building's collapsed and there's a requirement for a quick infrastructure, then they may not put that out to tender, even though it may be high value, but they will go through that supplier registration information to find somebody locally who's able to provide it, or somebody who's already reached out to them to identify somebody locally in the community.
Yeah, and if I can just add one more comment, I mean, we do still have the same trade agreements and legal requirements that Paul and the federal government would fall under. So we have to be careful how we apply a loyal program. So again, it would most likely be under those tendering thresholds. So under 100,000 for construction and under 50,000 for services and under 10 for goods. And you know, in some cases that those are good numbers for smaller businesses.
Thank you. We have a question here from Stuart. They say, we are a new startup in the process of defining our services and do specific offerings around new technologies. Is there a method available that identifies services that are in the shortest supply?
It's very hard to identify what's available or what we don't need. If somebody had asked us 2 years ago what type of service we would have needed to work from home. So 2 years ago, federal government employees started working from home. So we needed more laptops. We needed more monitors. We needed more ergo assessments for people working out of their home from their kitchen desk. So very small items. So it's hard to say that a government need today won't be the same tomorrow. We used to buy a lot of paper clips. I doubt we'll be buying a lot of paper clips. Not to say that we may, if once we go back to the office in a few weeks, we may need paper clips because we're bringing everything back to us. So it is hard to identify what the government doesn't need or a short list. It is really based, especially for a startup, on what you offer. So don't try and identify your product or service on what the government needs, because our needs will always change. It's what your business actually provides is what the government is purchasing. Especially for new technologies, like when we think of 3D printing or drone technology, those are still fairly new, and the rules for those change depending on what a specific need is.
Maybe if I could add in from the perspective of the sole sourcing, that it would be either predominantly under threshold, if this is from a different angle, that if a company is offering something unique, but there are other companies out offering that same good or service, we still have to go through that competitive process. Even if there are only just a few within our area or province, we would still have to do the competitive and bidding in order to award the one that met our specifications.
Thank you very much. Question here from Stephen. Do you have a venue or support for new vendors who would like to exhibit, and exhibits in quotation, so I think demonstrate or exhibit their products for, I'm guessing for either Procurement Assistance Canada or for the procurement division provincially?
Not a venue, but we do recommend, if your associations or if your organization has the ability to participate in regional trade shows or trade shows where your product or service is identified, not just to government, but to other buyers. A lot of times government is attending those conferences as well, and that is where we will then see products or services.
And from a provincial point of view, depending on the industry or the type of good or service that you have, we can assist you in setting up a meeting with the right department to potentially discuss your product and then maybe show it. I know pre-COVID, we used to have some lunch and learns where, specifically with our Department of Transportation, where a vendor would come in and sort of showcase their goods. Whether or not that's happening right now, I would say probably not in a true in-person space, but maybe there's room for a virtual setting. So we can certainly connect with you afterwards and try and assist you with that. But also to do some of the things that Paul has mentioned, and that we would be there as well.
And probably the biggest thing is using the government directory and using that historical data, identifying departments or agencies that have purchased your product or service prior, especially if it's low dollar value or even high dollar value, and to do that networking, to have that discussion with those local procurement officers to find out when they may be resubmitting a request for that product or service if it's a standing offer that may not be expiring, or if a tender has recently closed, say within the last year, then depending on the product or service, then at some point they may need that product or service again. So they would probably be submitting that demand again at some point. So it is reaching out and doing a bit of that networking with the various procurement officers in the various government departments and agencies.
Great. I'm going to wait a second or two here just to see if we can get some more questions into the pool. But we do have a few questions here that are a little more specific on specific circumstances for businesses. So maybe we'll pass those on to our presenters that they might be able to reach out more directly. Avoid back and forth on very, very specific issue. But I think those will can be passed on. As we did mention before, we'll be able to share the slide decks, contacts, and links following the session. So please be patient, and hopefully by Monday I'll be able to have all that to you for that, as well as a recording of today's session once we have an opportunity to upload that. Let's see here if we have any more questions in the chat. We do have a few comments from some of our viewers who would express thanks during the session. So I would definitely echo those. Thank you so much for taking the time. Yeah,
Jeremy, I've just posted in the chat function the link to our procurement page where you can register your construction products if you have them to let us know about them.
Absolutely. So Kimberly, a good question there that I guess I have. When someone visits that link and they put in all their information, they get added to this directory. When someone is looking through that and needing a local business that would be part of this directory, what kind of process do they go through at that point? Do they just pick up a phone or call the person directly? Is it sort of a little informal from that side, or?
I think it would really depend on what the intention is of the person that's needing the good or service. If it's something that is going to be publicly tendered and is part of a larger project, kind of have to figure out a format for that. If it's something that can be filled under threshold, then certainly direct contact is what we recommend. And then, discussions can follow, and then a 3-quote process where we would send out in writing what we're looking for and have communication that way. But this is meant to be an opportunity for us to learn more about what's available and then open the dialogue about, maybe show us what you've got kind of thing so that we can be aware.
And I guess it goes without saying that if you don't make yourself known, no one knows, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So it's a good idea that whether you think you might want to offer services at some point or you have them available to offer now, it's probably a good idea to add yourself to that list in some fashion now to get ahead of it if you can. Paul, earlier you mentioned briefly about it being pretty important for businesses to have accurate information online and social media and that kind of stuff. Can you touch on that just a little on that, and maybe where else they should be focusing? I'm guilty of it as well. Sometimes information changes so quickly you don't get a chance to change it on everything. So good reminder, I think.
So as an example, if your company isn't currently on social media, regardless of whatever platform or product, when government is looking for products, sometimes the procurement officers are doing research on that supplier. So they're looking to validate or to identify an organization to invite them either for more information or for information to supply to government, because we're looking for more information on a product or service. So we're looking for that expertise because government doesn't always have that expertise in-house. So we will do requests to various organizations and communities for that government feedback. So over the last few weeks, we've done requests to Indigenous communities, to the LGBTQ, for persons with disabilities. We're looking to those organizations and those business owners for their input to make government easier to navigate. But at the same time, we're also doing that for other aspects as well. So sometimes we will share requests by other departments and agencies. So Dnd has what they call the Dnd Ideas Competition, where Dnd is looking for a very specific solution to a problem that they're having. So say, for example, one that was recently done last year was to ensure the safety of, not just for D&D, but also for Coast Guard. If a staff member is on a boat and they fall overboard, to have a mechanism in terms of interior monitoring of where the staff are. So that was one of the ideas, solutions that they put out to the business community is, do you have a product or a technology that could actually help us monitor within our boats when they're at sea to ensure the safety of the staff? And that's just one idea. And then Innovation Canada also has various competitions. So there are competitions that get pushed by various government ministries to organizations and associations like the Cape Breton Partnership to then share to their members. So if you're not getting the newsletter from the Cape Breton Partnership, then you may be missing out on something that's being shared on behalf of somebody else. The same would hold true with LinkedIn or other social media platforms, or your association. If you're not connecting to your network and following what they're sharing, then you may miss out on some opportunities.
And I guess that's a good place for me to remind everyone that if you aren't currently receiving e-blasts or newsletters from the Cape Breton Partnership, we highly recommend you subscribe. There will be information in what we send you after to do so. It's free to join the list, of course, and the information can be very useful to you over time. Sometimes it includes business opportunities and in procurement opportunities. Sometimes it includes special skill development opportunities and what's going on around in our community, and other good news that's happening with local businesses, and maybe some folks that you might want to reach out to see where businesses can help each other. So there's lots of good information there.
And due to COVID and some of the issues that some businesses have had with digital adaptation, there was a call earlier last year for support across Canada for the Canadian Digital Adaptation Program. That is being launched fairly soon. So organizations like Digital Nova Scotia and the CBDCs, the Community Business Development Corporations here in our region, are pushing various products and support. The same with Tourism Nova Scotia. So if you're in a sector and you're having difficulty with your digital technology, then there's support that's either out there now or will eventually be out there. And once I have more information, I'll share that with you as well in terms of the official launch date.
Thanks, Paul. And that's a good reminder, of course, that all of these organizations have their own distribution lists and e-blasts and newsletters. Highly recommended to sign up on all of them you can. Sometimes those inboxes get filled up quick, but it's often good information that you don't want to be missing out on. I think that's about all the questions we have. I don't see any new ones coming in. I don't think anyone will be terribly sad that we're able to give you 20 minutes to get back to your day and enjoy your lunch. Before we close out, I'd be happy to have any follow-up comments or closing remarks from Paul or Alexa or Kimberly.
I want to thank everybody who attended. It's great to be able to, unfortunately, not be there in person, but hopefully when we do maybe a follow-up session in the fall, if that's an option, then that we're in person versus virtually.
Yes, thank you, everyone.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. On behalf of the Cape Breton Partnership and our partners and our presenters and everyone that was involved in bringing everyone here today, thank you very much to all of you for presenting today. Especially thank you to all those who attended today. We know that it takes time out of your day to attend these, and though the information is great and it helps, obviously we're all very busy and we all have a lot of things going on. So it means a lot that you took the time to attend today. Be on the lookout for this follow-up information as it comes in. And if you have any questions, please reach out to our presenters with that contact info that we share. And if, of course, you have any questions for the Cape Breton Partnership, we'll be sharing our contact info as well. So with that, everyone, please have a fantastic Thursday. Enjoy your day, and I hope you have a great lunch.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you, everyone.